everyone, Josh here, Wargaming Noob Historical, back with another read-through review. This time around, we are looking at Warlord Games Black Powder, Albion Triumphant, Volume 2, the 100 Days campaign. Now, if you got into Black Powder because of the 28mm Waterloo 2-player starter set, this is probably going to be the book that you want to build your forces from and add a little more flavor to your Napoleonic wargaming for Black Powder. Keep in mind, though, that if you are into the epic battle system, that there is a separate book called Waterloo 100 Days Campaign. I'm going to show you an image of that and link it in the description below so you can take a look. That is separate from this particular book. And is again scaled to epic battles. That doesn't preclude you from using this volume for your epic battles Black Powder. However, the 100 Days campaign book for epic battles has the correct scale and ranges for those size miniatures. That being said, let's go ahead and see what this book has to offer you as a Black Powder Napoleonic wargamer. We'll go, as we did with the Volume 1 Peninsular War, we'll just kind of go through a brief overview of what the book has, and you can decide at the end if this is going to be the book that you need for your gameplay. So on page 2, we just have some wonderful painted miniatures from the Warlord studio. The writer of this particular volume is Adrian McWalter, and again, Black Powder is based on a design by Rick Priestley and Jervis Johnson. You're going to have an introduction to the 100 Days campaign and the impact it had on history. And as we move forward, we get to the main crux of the book, the content. So this book is broken down into several sections. You have a section of overview, an overview of Napoleonic warfare that kind of gives you the history, the way battles and wars were fought in this period of time. And then you have a specific section that targets the 100 days and what that meant in this period of warfare. So you're going to have the major battles in this campaign, including the Battle of Quatre Bras and Ligny, as well as the Battle of Waterloo. Then you move on to the section that breaks down the major armies of the nations that were involved in this particular campaign. You're going to have Great Britain, 1815. Again, this is going to be targeting the makeup of that particular army during this campaign as opposed to the army composition in the earlier Volume 1 Peninsular War. You'll also have a small section on British allies, which include Hanover, Brunswick, the Kingdom of the Netherlands, and Nassau. Then we move on to the Imperial French of the 1815 period. Again, this is not the same army that Napoleon had during the majority of the Napoleonic Wars. These were mainly new battalions and veterans that survived the Russian campaign as well as the fall of Paris a year earlier. And then we move on to the next major nation that was involved in this particular battle, and that's Prussia. After that, they go through column versus line and useful rules that pertain to this period of the Napoleonic Wars. Again, very similar to what we saw in Volume 1. And then you have the superstars, the rock stars of this campaign, commanders of the 100 Days. We're going to go through the British, the Prussians, the Netherlands, and then France. Rounding out the rest of the book, you have your scenario games. And then finally, the main meat and potatoes, the army list for pointed games. So we're going to go through the next several pages and we're going to take a look and see everything. Again, the first portion of the book is an overview of Napoleonic warfare. This is going to be very similar to what we saw in Volume 1. You're going to have some information here, how armies were structured. They give an example of the 5th Division under Lieutenant General Sir Thomas Picton, who was killed in Waterloo. Infantry, assault column, square line, all the formations, cavalry, artillery, and then some information on the 100 Days, the armies involved. So again, some more beautiful pictures from Warlord Studios. You have information on Quatre Bras, about the battle, Ligny, and of course, rounding it off will be the Battle of Waterloo as we get to that point. Again, this is just information that fleshes out the history of this campaign for people who are playing. There's Waterloo. Again, beautiful studio painted models. Again, this just gives you a nice history lesson on the 100 Days campaign. Moving on, we go to the armies of the 100 Days campaign. Again, you have Great Britain, 1815, a much different army, but made up of the core of what came through the Peninsular War. So these were hardened veterans for the British. You have your British infantry special rules like 4 deep line, cannot form attack column of companies. You have rifle mixed formation. Mixed formation must form square, lie down, and steady line. Gives you some stats on the foot guards, line infantry, the Highland infantry, and your light infantry. Stats for your riflemen. So if you're a big fan of the Sharp series, it's basically what that is. Your cavalry. So they have special rules for cavalry, deep formation, ferocious charge, gallop at anything. Then you have your life guards and royal horse guards, your dragoon guards and dragoons, light dragoons and hussars. Again, some more wonderful studio painted models. We go to the artillery portion. You get your special rules, Congreve rockets, shrapnel. Then you have your royal horse artillery, your royal artillery, King's German Legion. Now we move on to Britain's allies. You have Hanover. And then the stats for the Hanoverian infantry here. Then your cavalry, your Hanoverian cavalry. And we move on to Brunswick. And the stats for their units, their infantry right here. And then more infantry. Then you have your cavalry and artillery. Then we move on to the Kingdom of the Netherlands, the Dutch. So again, same layout here. You have your infantry right there, your cavalry, and artillery. And then finally, rounding it off, the Nassau. Again, wonderful painted models. There's your stats for the Nassau infantry. It looks like it was just infantry, no artillery or cavalry. Then we move on to Imperial France. Again, this is going to be the same layout. Gives you a depiction of how the battalions and brigades were set up in different formations. Wonderful studio painted models. You have your French infantry special rules, pas de charge, colonne de bataillon par peloton, mixed formation, and must form square. Again, stats for line infantry, light infantry, combined grenadiers, and combined voltigeurs. So that is something that is unique to the French, where you can take your companies of voltigeur and grenadier from each of your battalions and form them into their own combined battalion. Then you have your cavalry. You have the carabiners, the cuirassiers or cuirassiers, your dragoons, so your French light cavalry, and then the dreaded line lancers, and then your artillery. So you have your foot artillery, horse artillery, and then the Imperial Guard actually has its own section of this book, because you can have a combined Old Guard or Imperial Guard as your force, as one of your brigades. So there's your Old Guard Grenadiers and Chasseurs. You have your Middle Guard, and then your Young Guard. And you have Marines of the Guard. You have your Heavy Cavalry, and then your Light Cavalry, your Imperial Guard Artillery, those are the big guns, And then finally, the Kingdom of Prussia, the other major nation involved in this battle. So you're going to have your infantry special rules, form Prussian square and tough fighters. You have your musketeers, your fusiliers, your Landwehr, which are militia, your Jaegers. Your cavalry now include dragoons, uhlans, hussars. You have your Landwehr cavalry. Then we move on to artillery. So line foot artillery and line horse artillery. And some more wonderful studio models. And then we get to the section where they break down the column versus line and other useful rules that are pertaining to this 100 Days campaign. Just the differentiation and any rules that may be different from Volume 1. They do talk about engineers, direct and grazing artillery fire, higher ranks for your corps commanders. You also have weather. Conditions here like soft ground, higher ground, what happens with the death of a commander, personal qualities of commanders, because again, this isn't a period of time where you're going to have your superstars, your rock stars, your commanders have special rules. So here we go to the commanders of the 100 Days campaign. You're going to have for Britain, Sir Arthur Wellesley, and then Lieutenant General Count Charles Alton. You're going to have their special rules right here. I'm just going to leave this up so you can read them. And then from there, we also have Major General Sir James Kempt and Major General Sir Denis Pack and their special rules. I'll leave that up there. For Prussia, you have the old man himself, von Blücher, and Hans Ernst Karl, Graf von Zieten, and their special rules right there. I'll leave Blücher's up for a little bit before moving down to von Zieten. All right. For the Netherlands, you have the Prince of Orange and Major General Etienne de Guigny and their special rules. And lastly, for the Dutch, you have Baron Chassé. Finally, we move on to the French. We have the big man himself, Napoleon. Again, he has a staff rating of 10, which is quite high. That's the highest staff rating you can have in the game. You also have Marshal Ney and Kellerman. Their special rules right here. And then we move on to the scenario game. So you have the Defense of the Crossroads, the Battle of Quatre Bras, 1815. Just the setup and special rules for this particular scenario. How the table should be. Look at how beautiful that table is. It's amazing. It gives you everything you need to know to set up your Quatre Bras recreation. Here's your order of battle. Okay. And then they have kind of like an overview of how the battle played for the Warlord staff. It's like 5. Okay, so it's quite a few pages based on what they saw during their game. Next up, we have the battle for Ugama. Again, another set-piece battle within the Waterloo battle itself. Your setup, special rules, table and game scale. So here they're suggesting an 8-foot by 6-foot table, so it's quite large. They do have a model of, I think they have a model of Ugama. I know they have a model of, I know that there's actually a battle set of La Haye-Sainte, so they may have an Ugama model or building that, or you can make one, I guess. So again, order of battle, this information on the battle itself, and then you have information on the battle at Plancenoit. Basically towards the end of the day when the Prussians arrive at Waterloo. So definitely a great book if you are heavily set in the Waterloo or 100 Days campaign. Everything that you pretty much need to play that campaign. You got 3 scenario battles in there, so I think that's pretty awesome. Lastly, to close out the book, you have your army list and pointed games if that's how you play your Napoleonics, or in this case, Black Powder. So you'll have all your point totals here and their stats, as well as any special keywords that they have. Here are some infantry special rules. And again, this is for the Anglo-Netherlands Army. Cavalry special rules. And again, a breakdown of how to build up your army. You start with your divisional commander. You can have 0 to 1 King's German Legion infantry brigades. And then, you go from there. So here's the Anglo-Netherlands Army 1815 for the Brunswick portion of the army. And again, it's going to be the same breakdown. And then the Dutch, Belgians, and Nassau. So the Allies had a lot more of a colorful and multinational force at Waterloo, unlike the French, who lost many of their allies after Napoleon's first abdication. Again, these are the breakdowns. Here's the French Army of the North, Army Corps 1815. All the points. Special rules. Again, they talk about the pas de charge, combined grenadiers, combined voltigeur, cavalry column of attack. Rules for half battery, and I believe that this is also available to the British and the Prussians as well. So if you don't want to field a full battery, you're playing a smaller pointed game, you can do a half battery. That does lower the amount of dice that you can use to shoot. All right, here are the French point totals and the build makeup for your divisions and brigades. So for allies, up to 25% of your points can be spent on Imperial Guard, infantry, and cavalry brigades. Here's your Imperial Guard point totals, in case you want to just field Imperial Guard. The army makeup. Some more beautiful pictures. Now we come to the Prussians and their point totals. Their special rules. And then the brigade or army build out. And that's pretty much it. That is Warlord Games Black Powder Albion Triumphant Volume 2. Again, this is perfect for anybody who started their Black Powder journey by buying the Waterloo 2-player starter, the 28mm version. Again, there is a separate 100 Days campaign book for Epic Battles Waterloo. So if that's what you got, that may be a better fit for your gameplay rather than this. But again, this book does not... the Epic Battle system does not preclude you from not using Albion Triumphant Volume 1 or 2 for your Epic Battles Waterloo. Just that you will have to change the scale for range and for movement to accommodate the smaller size. But if you are playing at 28mm, this is one of the most iconic periods of warfare for the Napoleonic period, for the Napoleonic Wars. And you can't go wrong buying this book, whether it's digital or physical, to have in your collection in order to relive or recreate the 100 Days campaign. So, all right, that is it. If you enjoyed this read-through review, go ahead and give a like to the video. Subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. Click the bell notification icon to get notified of all new read-through reviews coming out of the channel. And then click the link in the description below to join our Discord server. That is the best way I can personally interact with you and chit-chat you about Black Powder and any other game system that we cover on the channel. That's it. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more read-through review from Wargaming Noob Historical.